Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thank you for logging on. If you love this watch, email us tmosso@the1916company.com for purchase, pricing, and availability questions concerning this watch. Today, we're discussing a variation launched in 2016, rose gold with Havana brown dial. This is the Lange Söhne Saxonia automatic. Now, this brown dial model launched in 2016 with a rose gold case, 38.5 millimeters in diameter. You can see in profile it's 8.2 millimeters thick. And then from lug tip to lug tip, the total distance across the wrist is 44.5 millimeters with a 20 millimeter spacing between the lugs. We'll throw it on my wrist, which is 16 centimeters in circumference. You can see how it wears quite nicely, comfortable, flat, and not terribly broad. Looking down the barrel, you can see I've got plenty of clearance on each side of the 16 centimeter circumference wrist. It'll easily slide underneath the cuff and even over the top, which exaggerates the width of the watch. It's still a good fit. So I'd recommend this watch for a wrist as small as 13.5 centimeters circumference. So this is a unisex option. Taking a look at the strap, high grade, large rectangular scale alligator leather. Calfskin on the bottom, no crimping, no gouging, no marks, brand new Lange factory strap. A little bit of bolstering or stuffing to give it volume. We've got a folded edge profile with a monotone stitch. And when scales are large, rectangular, and symmetrical, you're generally talking about a very good cut of the beast. The buckle with a little bit of soft external fastening, Lange branding. Two little features I always like to call out. One is the elevated bridge so that the strap sits inside the buckle rather than stacking up underneath. It doesn't add height on the wrist when it's buckled down. And then there's this little retaining bar inside. So if you're like me, you have a small wrist, use the smallest hole or even punch a smaller hole, you know that a tightly strapped watch can get pinned on the pin. So this little retaining bar prevents the strap from sliding all the way down and becoming inextricable. So that's what that's all about. Case, very familiar to Lange fans. We've got the little stepped lug profiles, first proposed by a Lange Söhne co-founder, Gunter Blumlein, in the early 90s, to give their watches a more distinctive look, set them apart from the Swiss. You can see that there's a little bit of a soft bevel that tapers as you move towards the end of the lug. It's right on the shoulder. The lugs, the case back, the bezel are all polished. The mid-case is satin for contrast. We have a Lange branded crown, push-down crown, 30 meters water resistant. There's a slight vertical step to the bezel, and then it has a long arcing domed profile leading up to a sapphire that is almost completely flat. Dial features rose gold alpha style hands at center, a counterweighted lancet style small seconds hand. We have rose gold indices doubled up at the quarters, and then the dial, which has this lovely soft non-directional brown. It's not exactly a sunburst. It doesn't have strong metallic overtones. It's more of a matte or opaline finish. And then the dial base itself is made of sterling silver. So rose gold case, sterling silver movement. One feature does feature a hacking or stop seconds function. There's very little dead angle to this crown, meaning you turn it very little in terms of angular displacement before the hand starts to move. Everything about a Lange is precise. Now on the back, you can see two fun things. I'll point this out. You can see there's a B on the buckle. That's made by Brogioli, which is down south of Switzerland where they speak Italian. It's the Italian part of Switzerland. Brogioli makes clasps and bracelets and buckles for Lange. And then you have SUG, which is a company controlled by Zinn. Yes, that's Zinn, out of Frankfurt. So this is their case-making company. It's one of the three primary case makers for Lange, along with FTOR, which is a Richemont family company, Centaur, which I believe is owned by Audemars Piguet or associated with AP. And then SUG is Zinn's company for manufacturing cases. Now, taking a look at the reverse side of the watch, the movement is large. This is caliber L086. It's related to the 155 and the Odysseus, but it's got a few differences. First, this is a richer execution. Second, this has a longer power reserve. The Odysseus is 50, this is 72. Automatic winding, you can see that the rotor features a platinum mass, which is a real flourish and a feather in its cap, something you rarely see on Swiss watches. The mass is snailed, and then the rotor attached to it features brushing, beveling, and media blast, along with fired blued screws. If you look carefully, you can see that this watch features both black or mirror polished screws and fired blued screws. We have a large 3/4 style bridge that contains the drivetrain, the barrel, and the winding train, a nod to the era of East German pocket watch manufacture in the heyday of the original pre-World War II Lange Söhne. We have engine turning in several sizes on the outer faces of the three-quarter bridge as well as the base plate. Black cover, or you can see black polished cover to the escape wheel. A mirror finished or black polished swan's neck fine adjustment mechanism. 3 hertz beat rate, 21,600 vibrations per hour. Although there are few bridges, you can see the edges of them are mirror beveled. German silver used as an alloy, nickel copper zinc. It's called Maischolt when used in Switzerland. It's actually that nickel copper zinc alloy. It's not really made of silver, but it is called German silver. And because of the copper content, over time it will become darker and more intense. And the reason it's used is because it was a pocket watch era material that harks back to the 19th century era of East German watchmaking that a Lange Söhne hopes to reference and recapture. 31 jewels adjusted in 5 positions. 5 positions is a high horology standard as well as one often used on chronometers. And then you can see that the balance cock itself has been freehand engraved with a burin. No engines, no lathes, just eye-hand coordination and a lot of skill. And then finally, we have stripes across the bridges. We're not going to call them Côte de Genève because we are not in Switzerland. If you love this watch, reach out to Team Mosso at the 1916company.com for purchase and pricing details.